Alright, so let's see if everything is working the way it's supposed to be working. Maybe. There it is. Never sure when things are going to work out the way they're supposed to. Alright, so let's talk about, first off, let's get things positioned a little bit better so the mic isn't quite so loud. Alright. Alright, so last time on Panda Ball Z, we were a little bit busy. We ended up hollowing out part of the asteroid to put in a hangar system. We have gotten all of that in place, and we will talk about that in just a moment. Let's go ahead and close this door for now. Let me make sure I have food and drink on me. I do. Alrighty then. Okay. First things first, let me jump over here. I'm going to swap out my oxygen tank. Or I should say my oxygen bottle. Have any ice in the grid? No, we have. We have officially used all of it. Alright, so there's one. And we'll grab a second one just because. Because you just never know when things are going to blow up around here. So happy Friday, everybody. Hopefully you had a fantastic day, or having a fantastic day, and had a fantastic, terrific even, week. Alright, so apparently I left this door open last time. Let's close that door. That's why we have all of those other doors in between us and space. Alright, let's turn our light on. Alright, so let's take a look at the hangar. So I've been letting Bob do some welding for us. I've actually been assisting on a little bit of the weld, and we'll talk about that in a second. But I just want to show you what we ended up with for space down here. I mean, we ended up with a pretty big area. And I'm thinking I kind of like having this open, so I'm not going to pressurize the hangar space. We were talking about that on Wednesday. Basically, there's too much here. The only way I'd really be able to do it is to put in like the force field doors. So we could if we really wanted to. But then I have to close in this upper portion, and I kind of like having this open. It allows us to get in and out of here fairly quickly if we need to. And it also opens up some ideas of being able to see what's going on in the infrastructure inside the station. And I think that that's going to help make things a little bit more interesting to look at. Alright, so let's talk about this mess. So if you remember when we originally built everything here, we had a door that was open to space right here that we were keeping closed. And now that is piped into hallway, and we have this vertical shaft down here. So what this is this is going to be our elevator area. Now, I've got a couple of options for how I want to do the elevator. So originally we were talking about doing the piston idea. We can actually turn light off up here, put a light in so we can actually see it. So we were talking about doing a piston-driven elevator, which isn't a bad idea. They work really, really well. What I'm thinking though is I may do a sprocket system. It's been a while since I've done one, and they tend to be rather clangtastic. But basically what we would do is have a set of wheels on either side that would basically handle the mechanical motion of going up and down. We'd have them on a rotor, and so you'd have one set to take the whole thing up and one set to take the system down. Now that has a couple of good bonuses to it. One, it makes it much easier to seal this thing off and make it airtight, being the big one. And it does tend to be a little bit more, shall we say, stable. They can give you a much more even transition from your upper and lower areas. Now the problem with them is that you're using rotors. And what we would probably have to do is the elevator itself would end up being a small grid build. And I'm wondering, because one of the things I would have to do is that one wall we would have to put basically a shaft on. And what that would do is we would hook into that to keep everything level while it's going up and down the corridor. And we have to figure out our spacing because we're going to be using small grid. It means it would be the wheel would take up pretty much that entire space. And so what it would end up becoming, let's see here, how do I want to do this? I think what I want to do is let's take, that's 1, 2, 3, maybe? So if we do that. Hey Jago, how you doing? Welcome to the stream. And you're not late. You're on Jago time. It's all good. Alright, so if we look at our rotors, what we're going to do is we're going to put this in. I'm going to take the rotor head off. And we happen to have a handy dandy interface right here. Helps if I spell it correctly. There we go. And we're going to add a small rotor head to it. Alright. So this is going to be, I need steel plates. That's fine because Bob will get to it. Alright. Alright, so this is going to be weird, I think. Better known as happy hour. Hey man, it's 5 o'clock somewhere in the world, right? Alright, so let's drop that stuff off. I'm gonna actually drop one of the bottles out just because. And let's grab, I don't know, like 500 plates. Alright. And so what we're gonna do is for this particular rotor, we're going to actually have it lock the rotor head. I actually meant to do that first. All right, so we're going to share and we are going to lock the rotor. And I don't know, cancel. Do we get another reds? Yeah, okay, so let's go 15. And that should be able to counter any amount of mass that I put on this thing in such a small area. Alright, so what we're going to do is we're going to build out from the rotor head. So we'll build out a few blocks and then build up to build the platform. And this will give us hopefully enough room in order to have, you know, our first wheel set in here, which also means all of this is going to have to come out. It's actually going to go back one set, but that's fun. All right. And the reason this is coming out, I'll show you here in a second. And we're going to have to do this on the other side at some point. I mean, we could probably get away with doing this just on one side. You're actually going to have to come down, I think. Which means all of this is going to come out as well. Alright, and then from here, let's go ahead and take this stuff out. We did 3 from the top, so if we figure, if we're going to try and keep all of this hidden, this is going to be at least 3 blocks down. Which, if we go this far, it's probably almost easier to just build this as a piston system. But that's okay. Everyone builds piston elevators. Very few people build these things. Now, what I'm working with, and I was going to look up the person's channel a while back. I saw somebody build one of these things, and I liked their system that they built, but I don't remember exactly how they did it. I should probably go look up their channel so I can give them proper credit for this, because the thing that they built was really, really nice. And so we're going to build basically something similar to it, if not actually what they built. Because honestly, I don't think I could build what they built. There we go. I mean, I could, but I tend to not follow other people's stuff too closely. Everyone puts their own little spin on things, yeah? Alright, so basically we are going to have to clean up this area then. Can't have... See, the things that we could have gotten away with the walls as they were, we can't get away with on this because it's going to interfere with the wheel. Oh, wow, Jago, thank you. Appreciate that. No, any time, man. I'm always glad to help people out as I can. Thanks for the 20. I appreciate it. I need to get the notices set up so that at least like the super chats come up. But wow, thanks, man. All right. Let me see. We're almost out of power. Let me get myself parked inside for a second. I'm gonna see if I can find that channel really quick, because the person who did it, why are you? Oh, it's because you room depressurized. The person who did it really deserves the recognition for it. Let's see here, because I think I have it on my list. Like I said, I meant to check this earlier. Let's see here. And nope, not on the list. Okay. Here's so. I think it's this one. Yep, there it is. Black Armor is the name of the person who did it. They did it as a pretty interesting thing. Let me see. I'll go ahead and I'll just. Oh, hello. We'll go ahead and link this over in chat for y'all. So that's the video that I watched a few months back. You know, that's inspiring this build. And so they went through a lot of trial and error with their build, and they did everything small grid on both sides. And so I'm thinking to build something similar, but instead of where they have it set where the gears are facing the lift, I'm going to have it set into the sidewall, which is probably going to be a lot more unstable than what they built. But yeah, we'll see how that actually works out. Hey Paul, how you doing? Welcome to the stream. Oh. So yeah, so this isn't actually going to be a wheel. Well, it is a wheel, but it's not a wheel. It's a gear system. It's a toothed gear. And so what we're going to end up with is basically we're going to be building some sprockets. And I think what they did... So I'm going to have to figure out my spacing in here because it's going to need to be let's get you out of there, and I might be able to get away with these, but I think we're gonna have to go with these. Because what I'm thinking is that we might be able no, that's not going to work that way. Let's try. So we want 2, 3, maybe there. No, that might not work. All right. And so if we do, we're gonna do some prototyping with this as we go. All right. So if we go like so, like so, like so. All right. So we. And then that'll carry down, maybe. All right. And so what we'll have is a wheel on the lift that basically digs into this and then rolls up into the next one. And so those become your catches. Yeah, so that's what we're going to try to do. Now, I'm doing this without any real prototyping. So this could end up being rather interesting. Like I said, I am not quite sure how this is going to work out, but we'll see. All right. So you're going to come over one more block. I think that puts us middle, vaguely. So if I go up here, so that's the middle of that one, and yeah, it should be the middle there. All right. So if we do that, now comes the test of, is that lock going to hold us in place? All right, so it's a little high. Okay, so we're going to take it back one block then. All right. So if we take it back, we're going to bring it over to there-ish. And can I get... Let's get our blast doors in here. So we're going to end up with basically something like this. Is that just far enough that it's... Oh, okay. It's just because I was standing in the way. All right. Oh. All right, so if we're doing that, let's grab our corner pieces. You're going to go that way. You're going to go this way. Like I said, doing this without prototyping, so this could either be absolutely amazing, or more likely, it's going to blow up and kill us all. So, yeah, we'll see how this works out. Now the question is it because it's a little bit off on one side, huh? Yeah, okay, so it looks like it's just a little too far in on this side. All right, well, that's fine. Let's go like so, see if we can get this wedged over a little bit on this side. bring this beast in. Whoop. There. Okay. Let's see if we can. Or we're not going to be able to. There it is. So I'll be able to do that. Alright, and then we say like this. Stand over here so we're not so likely as to cause collision problems. And alright. So it looks like that's actually gonna have to be in one. That's fine. We'll make it work. See? What I could probably do is extend the piston head out a little bit. Actually, that might not be a bad idea. Or the rotor head. Let's see here. Do we still have rotor offsets? It's been a while since I've had to displace a rotor head. We do. And that looks like that might be enough. Okay, so let's go. Nope. All right. Let's try this again. See if we can get it to go a little bit further out then. Let's go 0.05. Is that enough? That's enough. There we go. All right. See? I haven't completely forgotten everything. Just most things. Oh, man. All right. We go like so and like so. Okay. And now we can bring this stuff over. We're basically just going to square this up a little bit. So that we can start getting all of this tied together. Make it a little less likely to kill us, hopefully. You know, famous last words. I think what we'll do is we'll just get maybe half of this done on opposing corners. And then that way we should have, hopefully have enough stability without this looking inappropriate. Alright. And then we'll come back eventually and fill in the rest of it. I mean, I could just go ahead and leave, you know, part of this open, but like maybe do 3 by 3 there, and then we'll close in the rest of it. And I'm gonna have to put some lighting on the bottom of it so we can see what we're doing down here. All right. Okay. So down we go. Okay. Hey, Paul. And yeah, so what we're working on, for those who are just now joining us, is I'm going to be building, hopefully, a system that will basically walk up the ledges for us. So we'll have a rotary on here. Oh, yeah, a rotor on here that has a wheel, a large wheel attached to it. At least that's the general idea. We'll see how this actually works out. While it would be absolutely amazingly funny to blow this whole thing up, let's try not to do that. Alright, so if we have that, I need... Okay, so we're going to bring this over, and I'm going to try and figure out some spacing here. Because we're going to have to figure out what size of wheel we'll be able to get away with in here. So if we're doing that, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Can we get 7 in there? So 7, and then should be about the same on the other side. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, so that means we need to take that out first. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So it needs to come down one more. So it needs to be there to be the center point. Basically the same thing on this side. So let's go ahead and get this out. Alright, I know we said 7 to the side, which means you guys are going to come out this way. Come on. So here's the problem with working with small blocks. Alright, so that's going to get us there. And what we're going to do is on that last block, that's actually going to only be a half block. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And so this is going to need to be
no energy.
Alright, let's go this way. Gets us in the atmosphere a little bit faster. Actually, oh yeah, mid-kit's over here. Hey Howard, how you doing? Welcome to the stream. Small grid door into the floor for maintenance access? Yeah, probably will. The catch is that we're prototyping while we're doing this, so it's like... Oh, maybe put it on like the back corner there or something. It's definitely an option though. Alright, so we need that to sit flat. So we're going to need that to go something like this. And then let's say so we want it to be flat at that point, right? So I want it to be sitting basically like that. So what I'm thinking then is maybe something like that. And then it's going to need to be able to basically fall into that one as it goes down. And so this one is going to be, what did we do? We did 1, 2, 3. Right? Is that right? Okay, and then that's going to basically fall in this way. And so then we'll be filling that out as we go. So, so you're going to end up like that. And then that means you're going to be that way, actually. Let's try not to make this look too bad. And And we'll come through and actually clean all of this up at some point. And so what we need to do is just make sure our spacing on this whole thing is where we need it to be. All right, so you're going to be like that. And you're going to be like that. And that is probably going to catch halfway on this block. All right. Come out of there. And you're going to be something like that. Something like that. All right. 1, 2, 3 over from there. You're 3 over. Okay. And whoop. There we go. All right, so it's going to end up being something along those lines. Now, if we cut that loose, we'll know really quickly as to whether or not this whole thing's going to work. So who's with me? Should we do it? We'll cut this beast down. There we go. And we'll see if it actually rolls down the way we're expecting it to. Of course, my big concern is going to be the back side of this thing. And so what we're going to do is let's go ahead and do something like this. So So one of the things I need to do is I actually want to have, I'm probably going to do a half block on the face of this. Just to help keep it a little straighter. And this will tell us if the concept is going to work or not. Because like I said, I may actually have to come through and do a lot of math that I'm really trying not to do. But, you know, this is what's fun about space engineers, is you can blow stuff up intentionally or otherwise, and yeah, not deal too much with consequences. Right. So now if we go, can I get away with that? And like I said, this will tell us pretty quickly if this thing's going to work the way we're hoping it will. And then on this side, since you're going to be on the gears, let's go ahead and take, yeah, so we'll start here. We'll take this whole thing out. Yeah, we'll take that out. That's fine. Okay, so we're going to do flat block here, and then we're going to do probably just the, let's do that on this side as well. And now we do the explosive test fire. Oh, let's see here. Hey Darius, how you doing? Welcome to the stream. Soren, good to see you. And yes, I'm catching up on chat here, so think on it for a bit. Yeah, we'll see, Jago. Sure, Darius, but ask away. Always glad to help if we can. Can't promise that you'll get right answers, but you will get answers. All right. So, all right. Concept test. Take one. Are we ready? Oh. And it got stuck. Oh, there it goes. Nope. Bad Hal. Bad Hal. Oh, it's because we're not in gravity. That would be why. Artificial gravity. It's a thing. It's not a good thing. All right. You should be the middle, right? I think you're the middle. That's so here. Started playing 4 days ago. Joined a server. Azimuth mods. Oh, weapons are always questionable on servers because different servers are going to have different requirements for what they're doing.
Energy low.
So what I would probably recommend is if you're using the Azimuth stuff, specifically like the Azimuth weapons mods, I would actually recommend starting with something where it was like more vanilla. Just use the regular turrets to get an idea of what combat can be like. I mean, if you're on a server and there's more than just 1 or 2 people on it, you may even want to partner up with somebody on the server and look at what they're doing for builds. Yeah. And that's the thing, is when you get into the PvP aspects of Space Engineers, combat basically comes down to 2 aspects. Whoever has the most guns If all other things being equal, whoever has the most firepower is going to win. That's just the way Space Engineers is, unfortunately. Actually, yeah, that's right. And that is one of the downsides to Space Engineers PvP. Is that the two aspects that matter is how much damage can you absorb and how much damage can you put out. And if you're new to the game, both of those are things that you're not really going to be able to answer. Yeah, because without knowing the actual configuration of the server, like, are you guys using the personal shields mods, or the deflector, one of the deflector shields mods? You know, are you using? There's a couple of combat revamps out there. One of them being weapons core. Those change the way that combat works in Space Engineers. Are you using things like armor mods? You know, is all of your armor vanilla based, or is it, you know, the things that, is it using stats that are changed by one of the mods? So it's just, there's a lot of moving parts in there. So generally speaking, if we go with the idea, actually, let me go get my, let's turn off my headlight there for a second. Let me go stand next to this thing and get some power going. All right. No shields. Oh, if you've got Bertha in there, yeah, you guys are seriously overpowered. Okay. So Big Bertha is an amazing weapon, but it takes a lot of power. You need, like, if it's the one that I'm thinking of, it's a beam weapon and requires, I want to say, like 2 or 3 dedicated large reactors to fire the thing. Basically, though, what it comes down to is you need to focus on a concept for your build. It's like, do you want your ship to be able to take damage? Do you want it to be able to deal damage, or do you want to be able to avoid damage? So one of the benefits of Space Engineers PvP is that the ships themselves can actually outmaneuver a lot of the weapons, unless you're using, well, if you're using Bertha, that thing's just a massive beam. Let's get upstairs. Might be a little bit easier to show up here. We'll head outside for a second. Actually, before we go too far, let me wait for everything to finish recharging. There we go. Thank you. Yeah, my helmet was open to drink. All right. So, using my ship as an example, I need to retrofit that thing for space. All right. So, using this ship as an example. This ship has a absolute crap turning radius. So, okay, so you're using basically the projectile version of Bertha. That makes it a little easier. Weapons in Space Engineer are what you would call predictive. The AI will try to lead the target, but aims at center of mass, right? So different weapons are also going to have different optimal ranges. They all have a maximum range of anywhere from 600 meters to 1 kilometer or so, depending on the weapons mod. I don't know exactly which mods you're using, so I can't speak with authority on that. Some weapons mods will allow you to fire, 15 kilometers. They aren't that common anymore, but most weapons mods for Space Engineers currently range out to about 2 kilometers or so. The further you are away from the target, projectile-based weapons become less accurate because it's easier to avoid the further out you are. When you get inside of that 700-ish, 600-ish meters, projectile weapons really come into their own. Yeah. So what ends up happening is that you have to look at your damage output. If they're using things like the Vulcan weapons, those tend to be inaccurate once you get outside of, I want to say 600 meters. But again, I don't know which mod they're using. So if they're using something that's high accuracy, high rate of fire, then that's going to be different than some of the mods which will give you high rates of fire, but at the cost of accuracy. And they reload longer and a bunch of other things. You know, that it just depends on how the mods are tuned. But yeah, generally it comes back to whoever has the most guns and the most armor, and or the most armor is going to win. One of the things you can do is if you've got somebody who's using a lot of explosive weapons, is you can build spaced armor. And for that, you're basically talking about. So we have, say this is your outer armor, right? The outside of your ship, your outer hull. You can put an air gap in there, so you end up with multiple layers. Right. This is when we're talking spaced armor. This is what we're talking about. Is you have basically some kind of break between layers of armor, and that will actually give you more armor than if you had that filled in. Because of the way Space Engineers calculates armor, or its damage when armor is applied, or damage is applied to armor. So what happens is the bullet impacts, and then it's has scatter damage on it. So say it does 10 points of damage, 5 points may go here, and then 5 points will hit one of the adjacent blocks randomly, including the blocks directly behind it. But if you have a spaced armor, that damage potentially hits the unoccupied space. So this is true for bullets as well as missiles. It's more true for missiles because missiles actually have splash damage, where the bullets are point of impact. Some projectiles are solid objects in Space Engineers. Again, it just depends on the mod. And so what will happen is that it'll apply damage to the first layer, and then that projectile, when it hits the second layer, will be greatly reduced. So it may not penetrate through the second layer of armor. There's other things that you can do, like you can use blast blocks, like the blast door blocks. Here, bring these up really quick. Like these. And these have a dirty little secret. You can actually put, let's go here. Like if you wanted to build a citadel inside your ship, for those who don't know, citadels are basically additional armor in between non-armored plates. What it is it's basically you build them around very critical systems, and what it does is it allows it to take a little bit more damage. So if you do this with blast doors, because that little gap in there, because of the way Space Engineers calculates, that sees that as spaced armor, even though it's not. Max range is 1 kilometer. Hold on. Yeah. So not space armor, spaced armor. And you're literally talking about, when you're talking about spaced armor, it's basically just a space in between layers of armor. It's actually used even today. This is used in like real world scenarios. Space Engineers doesn't deal with effective armor thickness, but it does deal with actual armor thickness. So in real world, if you shoot something straight on, like if I was, let's say, like if I shoot this way, right? You see how there's still armor behind it? So in the real world, firing any weapon into an armor face, an armor surface, it looks at the angle that it's impacting at. Straight on 90 degrees on is, you know, they'll call that a broadside hit. So this is actually the weakest way to hit an armor. It's the best way to hit armor. It's the weakest way to defend incoming damage, because you only get the thickness of whatever it is between you and that incoming projectile, right? In the real world, in combat, you angle your armor so that if you're firing here, let's say that's 1 meter thick, right? It's not, but we'll just making this easy. If the block is 1 meter thick, and I shoot it straight on flat, I only have to get through 1 meter. If I hit it at 45 degrees, I have to get through about 1.5 meters, right? Space Engineers, unfortunately, doesn't calculate damage like that currently. They are doing a combat revamp. We don't know how they're going to factor the numbers in the revamp yet. Hopefully they take angling into consideration, but we'll see. So these are things that you have to look at when you're building your stuff in Space Engineers. So you'll hear people say, oh, put in 45s and all this other stuff. It doesn't matter in Space Engineers. Space Engineers only looks at the incoming damage and the armor or whatever is receiving that damage. It doesn't care if it's hit straight on or from 45 degrees or whatever. So that's why you'll see people flying around in giant bricks, because it doesn't matter. What matters is the actual total armor. When you start building in multiple layers, because of the way that damage transfers from block to block, when you have adjacent blocks, like if I put a block in here. So you saw how when I fired the pistol, no damage carried through, right? So now, it's probably would be better if I welded it up, but you see how it destroyed both of the blocks? Because Space Engineers transfers damage between layers. And so that's stuff you have to be aware of when you're building combat vehicles in Space Engineers. And this is one of the reasons why I don't really do much in PvP in Space Engineers anymore. Because it comes down to who has basically the most armor that takes advantage of the strengths and weaknesses of Space Engineers, and who has the most guns. Any tips for noob? Yeah, basically hang out with the folks that, if you want to be playing in PvP, specifically in Space Engineers, hang out with the folks that do a lot of it. There are a lot of ships on the workshop that are built, and they will tell you, they're built for PvP. The folks over at Keen Software unofficially sponsor, I don't want to say sponsor, encourage there's a couple of competitions that they encourage. One of them's hosted by a YouTuber named Wasted Space. He actually is one of the folks that works with Captain Shack and some of the other big YouTubers. They do like engineering challenges. There's a combat challenge, and then Keen actually has this thing where they have a battle combat or a battle challenge where two teams will basically throw something together in like an hour, and then spend the next couple of hours going through rounds of just trying to eliminate each other. Hey Sonny, how you doing? Do I have a favorite fight ship? Not really. I think most of my stuff, like when I do, all right, I have to, let me preface this with, again, I don't actively participate in PvP in Space Engineers currently. But when I did, my ships were usually built around two concepts: using decoys and being able to hit really powerfully either up close or far away, not both. You have to decide which type of damage you want to be doing and from what range you want to be doing it from. Yeah, so Wasted's been around for a long time, and he has actively been an ongoing participant and an endorser of the PvP aspects. He really enjoys the engineering challenges of combat ships. He has some just absolutely amazing designs for both, like vehicle versus vehicle, as well as siege and vehicle versus base style gameplay mechanics. And if you haven't checked him out, let me grab. Let me grab his channel for you really quick. He is definitely one of the people that are worth checking out if you are looking for somebody to give pointers. Like if you just want to learn the PvP system, Wasted is an amazing resource. Where is he? Did he put something out recently? Yep, guess he did. Okay. All right, so let me shoot you a link for him really quick. There you go. All right, so yeah, okay, Darius. Let me get into a chair because we're gonna walk through some stuff here. All right, so talking combat. All right, you have armor blocks. So you have light armor blocks and heavy armor blocks. The difference being that they have different amounts of hit points. Pretty straightforward. I think everyone gets that. So you have what's called a decoy block, this thing. And I'll throw one of these on the menu really quick. We'll head outside and I'll show it to you in the big grid, because the big grid you can actually see the details. All right. So this particular block, what it does is if you're using all vanilla combat, right? You might be using custom weapons, but you're not using things like, say, Weapons Core or the vanilla, what's it called? The vanilla weapons overhaul mod. Things that will allow you to set priority targets in your weapons. These become target number one. So when you go into a fight, if you have one of these on your ship, the opponent's ship, all of their turrets are going to target this block. If you have more than one of these on your ship, then it'll target all of them. Basically, it'll help split up how the weapon fire is coming in on you. So having these hidden around your ship can help direct incoming weapons fire away from your vital components. One of the things that people will do with these is actually put them on merge blocks or connectors. Let me bring those up. So the merge block right here allows you to build something on it that you can detach from your ship. You basically put a merge block on your ship. You have an opposing merge block on the other side of that, and then you build onto that merge block. When you're ready to deploy it, you turn the merge block off. The two blocks will separate, and anything that's on that second merge block will drift away from your ship. So this is one of the things that you can do in order to make your ship harder to take damage, because the AI will go after these before they go after the rest of your ship. Now, the disadvantage to this is that it only works against AI. Players will ignore them. So if they're doing something like, if they have a small ship with direct fire weaponry on it, like the autocannons or even the non-turret missiles, the players are going to ignore it and go after your ship. But if they've got turrets and they're being controlled by AI, the AI will go after this before it goes after your ship. One of the things that I did on one of my big battle cruisers is I had bomb systems set up, basically bomb launchers that I had built that used decoys. So I would open up the hatches and drop like 30 of these things between me and whoever was shooting at me. and then all of my weapons were manual fire. So there's this giant array, basically, of shielding between me and the incoming stuff. And while their turrets were busy shooting the decoys, I was shooting their ship. Yeah, you can put it in blast doors. The only thing you have to remember is that decoys, in order to work, do need to have power on them. So once they separate from the grid, they depower. And I've had people tell me that yes, that's true. You know, it is not true. But yeah, I've never gotten these. I've never had successful use of decoys like these without there being power on the block, on the grid. So this is one of the ways that you can overcome incoming fire. So, but my particular play style, for me personally, I generally build ridiculously fast ships that have generally light armor. Because if you're doing something in a ship like... get rid of that. If you're doing something in a small grid ship like this, even the heavy armor blocks on it are completely useless if you're fighting something that's a large grid ship or a combat focused small grid. It throws out, small grid ships can throw out so much damage that your shields, like your ship itself, just can't take the hit. So with small grid ships, I don't generally worry too much about armor. I worry more about damage output and the ability to avoid the incoming damage entirely. So very nimble ships, very fast ships. Lots of gyros, lots of thrusters. Yeah, you can put the decoy on the battery. So your turrets won't target the decoy. So the way that decoys work is they are seen as friendly to whoever built them. So if you're in a faction, so if you're playing with a group of people and all of you are on the same faction, you'll know because they show up as green. You'll see actually. So you see how that ship is green? It's because their faction is friendly with my faction. If your friends show up as green, they won't target the decoys. The decoys will show up as red, so they'll show up as hostile targets. Hey, Andy. Yeah, see, and people keep telling me that, and like I said, I've never had good success with decoys that don't have a battery on them. I don't know why. I don't know if it's just because of the way I change the way I use them, or what. It's the damnedest thing. And I've had this conversation with lots of people. But, yeah. Actually, let's see if I can build one. Radio comp. I think I can build one. Let's see. And watch, this will be the one time it works, right? And of course, it works this time. Son of a... Yeah, usually those things are turned off for me. I don't know why. See? Alright. So, yeah. Then no. Try it without the battery. See, you knew it was going to happen, right? Just... Yeah, toggle the blocks on and off. So there's... Yeah, like I said, it's... Combatness in Space Engineers as it is right now, in my opinion, is fun, but not something that I want to base my build styles off of, because I personally don't particularly enjoy it long term. Because it's fun to go do raids on bases and stuff. I mean, it's just there's a lot of things that you can do in Space Engineers as far as combat is concerned. You know, like grav cannons are still a thing. The cargo boxes of doom are still a thing. So, and for those who are wondering what that is, what I call a cargo box of doom is you take things like stone or gravel, you take a cargo box and you fill it full of them, and you put that in any type of delivery system, like if you build a missile system of some kind. Because what happens is when it goes in, the cargo box is destroyed, the cargo contents are ejected. So now the ship that you've just hit has all of this flying debris inside. So if they do anything other than jump, if they don't use the jump drive, they've got all this free-floating debris inside their ship. So I do it with stone because the stone doesn't despawn like some of the parts will and stuff. The Death Star. Yeah, I mean, there's just so many things that you can do. Gravity cannons, it's where you actually use artificial mass blocks in conjunction with a gravity launcher. Basically, you use gravity generators in sequence, and it pulls or pushes the projectile down whatever the corridor is you're using as a barrel. Those are fun. If you build them well and you know how to do it, you can get your projectile to actually break the in-game speed limits. At least temporarily break the in-game speed limits. Space Engineers has gotten better about forcing that, but yeah, they're still viable. I may actually build one of those again someday in the near future. I like the gravity cannons; they're fun. You can still, at least you can still use gravity drives outside of planetary gravity wells now too. Those still work somewhat. They just are a little bit wonky, but you know, not as good as they used to be. So hopefully that answered some of the questions. I hope I didn't make it more confusing than it needs to be. Just need to be able to kill shoots a lot. I mean, you could even build like remote drones and such. I mean, I wouldn't recommend building a drone if you don't know how to do it yet. It's one of those, learning how to do it will teach you a lot about Space Engineers. But if you're looking just to be able to destroy one person, so the problem that you're going to run into is that they're much more established and they know the system. So they're probably using spaced armor. They're probably using you know, the different types of armor blocks stacked in ways that allow them to exploit the way the damage system works. And then having all of the weapons and stuff. Yeah, your best bet is probably to go with some kind of combination of decoys and highly maneuverable ship. And then, like, 6 cannons or something. Oh, glad. I'm glad. Yeah, but like I said, decoys have been. I actually like decoys, even with the problems that I personally have with them. Because, like you saw, it powered up this time. Yeah. But 4 days old and it's one NPC. Yeah, I mean, I don't know which build out that's using. If it's using all of those weapons. See, if you went with missiles, the problem with going with missiles with something like that is that the AI can shoot them down. And if they've got the Vulcans and stuff on it, they've probably got an anti-missile system. So I would say what I would probably do is if it's using choosing mounting weapons. And you said it uses a lot of missiles. Oh, sorry. When I say cannons, I'm talking about the autocannons, the machine gun turrets. Yeah. So, but if the sure, go ahead and put the link in. I don't know if it'll let you send the link or not, but shoots red lasers extremely fast. Okay, so if it's using lasers, so laser weapons generally are built on our modded chain guns, like autocannon style weapons. They just have a different graphic on the projectile. Anti-missile systems. If it's available in the mod, it'll be generally they'll call them something like point defense. Let me see here. All right, let's let me. So shoots a lot. Hmm. 75% guns, 25% lasers. 75% guns and lasers, 25% missiles. I'll have to find the actual battle cannons and turrets. Oh, that's okay. I think I know which one that is. I think that's the MA weapons mod, which is part of the Weapon Core series. Which I actually like. All right. Okay. Let me see if I can find which weapons mod you guys are using. Battle cannons and turrets DX11, right? Let's see. Alright, so if you guys are using battle cannon and turret mod, two kilometers, Vulcan's 1 kilometer. Alright, so if I'm looking at the right mod, the cannons, the 30 millimeter, 40 millimeter, 300 millimeter, those are modified missile launchers effectively. So all the weapons in Space Engineers are one of two types. They're either machine guns or missiles, right? Everything that's modded is built off of one of those two frameworks. Even the laser system, the lasers are, with a few exceptions, built on the machine guns, the machine gun turrets or chain gun turrets. So what I would probably do is I would probably build I would probably go with the mini Vulcan and the 25 millimeter sentry guns. For most of my close fire stuff, and then probably either the 30 or 40 millimeter would be my one punch hitter. Like I said, it's really going to come down to your play style. And the reason why I would say something like a 30 or 40 millimeter and build your ship around that is that you're only going to put one or two of these things on it, and you're going to use that pretty close range. Unless you're really, really good and you're used to the combat in Space Engineers, I'm not saying you're not good. I'm just saying you're not used to the combat. Until you get used to the way that combat works, I would have something that hits really hard that has range that you can snipe with. But you're probably going to end up using it more close quarters. So this way you can hit them before they come in, but they've probably got enough defenses that they're going to be able to shoot the shells down before it gets to them. But you never know, and because it does have a 2 kilometer range on both of those, you could try sniping. Yeah, even for small grid. Let's see here. What do we got for? See, they're not differentiating which is large grid and which small grid. But my suggestion works either way, even if you're doing large grid, is find something that you can hit with at range and hit hard at range, and try sniping. If the sniping doesn't work, make sure you have a lot of basically close-in knife fighting weapons. And then, depending on how you want to go, I would say either one or two. I wouldn't do more than two on it. You start running into weird issues. Yeah. But like I said, I would have one or two big guns for hitting at range that I could use in close. The anything smaller than the 300, like the 30s and 40s, I would have those. For everything else, I would put in like the Vulcan. Let me see here. I need to see what these look like. Those are all large grids. That's a small grid. Yeah. So for defenses, I would put in probably 2 to 4 of the autocannons, either the Vulcan or the vanilla cannon turrets. For these, I'd probably go with Vulcan. And then in the settings for it, have them target missiles. Actually, I don't think I have. Let me see here. I don't have any turrets on any of my builds right now. So let's just grab one of these. Because I can put you right there. Alright, and so let me show you in here. So depending on the mod, all of the mods will have something like this. You know what? Let's do this. Let's go options. We're going to say graphics. I can't remember where it's at. It's been so long since I've had to do it. Maybe it's just in here now. No, no, no. It's been so long since I've had to reset my transparency. I don't remember the damn transparency settings are now. Oh, it's under display, I bet. No. There it is. UI opacity. There we go. And UI background opacity. Alright, this way you can see what I'm talking about. Make it easier. Alright, so if we go in here, look at turret, incomplete, obviously. Alright. Do you have to complete the damn thing now? Really? I have to complete the turret so I can play with the settings? That's annoying. Let's grab that really quick. Alright, I should have the parts for this, so it shouldn't be too much of an issue. Actually, yeah. Let's go. I need 9 steel plates, huh? Alright, so let's just keep 1,000 plates. Alright, so let's talk here. Settings in the turret. Alright. So your turret's going to have things like aiming radius. You can set this out. This is to control for AI control. So if you're not directly in control of the turret, the AI will target things out there. Usually I will say for AI control, it's between 500 and 600 in here. If you do control left click on that little slider, it'll bring up the exact value you can set. You can just use your number pad for that. So for AI control, I generally put my aiming radius somewhere between 500 and 600 meters. In here, you're going to have things like target neutrals, target unowned, whatever, target biologicals, projectiles. It depends on what mods are actually running in the backside of the game. So you're almost always going to have the ability to target projectiles and target meteors. I will almost always say turn this off because you don't need it. And turn on the target projectiles. By default in vanilla, it may say something like missiles, target missiles. So turn on the target missiles. If you're running weapons core, then you'll have stuff like target projectiles. Just whichever your option is in your version of this game, make sure this is turned on. And then I would do this for all of the turrets, yes. And then what I would do for the main weapons is, like I said, I would probably do like a 30 or 40 millimeter. Whatever is the smallest big gun that they have that you can put on your grid. See, unfortunately, I don't really have a whole lot of weapons in here. Let me see. Block weapons. So I've got the basic stuff. And I may have... I don't think I've actually put in... Yeah. Yeah, I don't have any launchers. So, worst case, you can use the basic weapons launchers, or the basic launchers for it, missile launchers. And that'll give you something that you can basically do a straight punch with. But you want something that's going to hit hard in one burst. And then you have your turrets basically defend the ship from all of the incoming missiles. Yeah, no problem, Darius. Like I said, I hope it helped. I know it's a little bit confusing in there. I apologize for that. But like I said, decoys on the extremities. Get the decoys as far away from anything vital as possible. A couple of turrets, like two to four turrets at the minimum, all set to anti-missile defense, and then you may want to turn off targeting things like large grid, small grid, or whatever. That way they focus only on the incoming weapons fire. And then, one or two really big guns that you can punch with. So, but that would be my recommendation. Everything else is just figuring out how to make it all work together. If you're trying to avoid weapons, like if you don't want to go heavy armor, put a bunch of gyros, like 2 or 3 gyros on the ship, and a lot of thrusters, so that you can dodge and get around things quickly. Hey John, how you doing? Welcome to the stream. So, what I'll probably have to do is in the near future, I will do a combat build. I need to make one anyway. Because we will eventually get into combat in this series. Because we're gonna go basically piss off the pirates at some point. Yes, they're friendly with me right now, but that's not gonna last. Which is why we're working on the stuff down here. So, but yeah, like I said, hopefully it helped. Oh, I always like when people ask questions like that. So. Alright. What are you missing? You are missing power cells. And we're going to go up here because I think... It is weird having all of that stuff be so opaque now. We're going to go back in options. No, it's game. Yeah. About there. Yeah, there we go. It's a little bit better. Farm Simulator 2019. How you liking it? I've seen a couple people playing it. Alright, well, it looks like that didn't work the way we wanted it to. Oh, I really should do this in an actual gravity well. Alright, I have to clean that mess up. Oh. Come here, Bob. I don't know if Bob is predefined for this. We'll find out. I don't think this Bob is set up for the 313. Okay. Right. And you go to the dirty white. There you go. You have to let me go check the Bob really quick because you said I'm not sure. 321 for weld. Yeah, so he's not been set up. There we go. And nearest first. Let's go smallest first. You are fly mode, and we want you to grind before weld. So he should be taking that apart now. Or should be in the near future, at least. I hope. Be my luck, you'd be below it. Oh. That's us. that. There we go. I'm usually okay with comments being posted with links. Don't spam links. That's the fastest way that you will get silenced on my channel. And especially the porn links. Oh, for the farm simulator? Yeah, that game is... That game is interesting. Some of the folks I used to play 7 Days to Die with actually have been playing it on and off for a couple of years. So, but yeah. Okay, so... so that didn't work out the way I want it. Which means I think we're going to have to... rebuild it. We'll make it faster, stronger, better. And I think you are probably below the... maybe not. Let's see. Let's sally forth up here. And... so how are you not offset? Alright, show the area. Alright. Are you not turned on? No. Okay, so you are there. Okay, so yes, it is. Okay, so it is set up. It should be within range. So Bob, why aren't you working for me? Ah, it's been one of those days. Saying I got distracted. Let myself get entirely too sidetracked. Let's see here. Oh, it's because it's turned off. That would be why. Okay. Oh, son of a... It's Friday. Leave me alone. All right. So, okay. So for those who are joining us, originally I was planning on building an elevator that was using a toothed gear system, and I'm still going to do it. But I think what we're going to need to do is I'm going to need to prototype this planet side. So we were talking earlier about a person who did a gear-based elevator, maybe like, they released the information like 6 months ago or so. And I had talked to them about it and told them I was basically going to steal the design. At some point, I was going to like borrow the design from them. So, what is his name? I'm horrible with people's names. Black Armor, that's the person. For those who are curious, what we're talking about is this guy. So that's kind of the same concept of what I want to build. Just it's going to be a slightly different approach. And our first trial, unfortunately, did not work. But that's okay, because it's space engineers, and that's what we're here for. So we're gonna pull in there. Hey Drex, welcome to the stream. Yeah, the space engineers live streams have gotten kind of rare. We're a dying breed recently. Most of the guys are still around. It's just they're not. A lot of them are on Twitch now. Some of them are still doing space engineers. Wasted still makes an appearance on every once in a while. Alright. Okay, so what I'm thinking is I may have to go full block. Okay, so we know it's 7 off center, so 15 across using small grid. If we do 7 off center, if I do one every, basically if I put a sprocket one every, or I should say a geared tooth one every 3 blocks? Should be about right. I'm gonna have to sit down and do some math, prototype this out. All right. So eventually this little platform here is going to be mobile, but I don't think it's going to happen today. All right. So if I do, so I have a piston, or not a piston, a rotor. Let's see if we go here. Yeah, sorry about getting sidetracked into the conversation about the Space Engineers combat system earlier. Thank you all for hanging out and for the folks who contributed. Greatly appreciate it. Yes, that will fit there. Okay. Like I said before, we're going to do this with 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then we'll have a half block on the end. Which means if we're doing it off of a 6 base, yeah, it's going to be every 2-ish blocks. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. All right, which means you guys are going to be yeah, so that's going to be up 1. Which means we should be able to get away with that. Except we don't need it that far out. Let's do that. That gives us room for it to maybe every block? I don't know. Maybe every block. I might need to do. See, I'm thinking that every block is going to be too much. Because, I mean, we can definitely do it. Alright, so something like that. And then what it'll do, the idea is that it'll rotate all the way down. But yeah, I think I'm going to prototype this on Earth-like and see if I can get it to work. All right, so I think what I'll do is I'll go ahead and do that off the live stream. We'll do that as a recorded thing, and I'll put that up probably next week I'll basically work over it on the weekend and see if we can get it working. But I'll be sure to record the whole thing, and we'll put it up as a standalone video. I don't know. I'll aim for Tuesday to have it out. That way, if we have, because if we end up building something and it's in place on Monday during the live stream, I want to have something for you guys to see how we did it. But yeah, it's gonna be a lot of prototyping, which is fine. But I don't mind. But on that note, I think I'm going to get out of here. I want to thank you all for stopping in. Hopefully you enjoyed it. I had a lot of fun hanging out with everybody. We got to talk about a lot of different aspects of Space Engineers today that I don't generally go too much into. So that was actually kind of fun. Believe it or not, I actually do enjoy talking about the meta of Space Engineers. And there is a lot of meta in Space Engineers, so... Oh, but anyway... be sure to check out some of those links I posted. The folks are like Black Armor, really, really nice person. I had a lot of fun chatting with them in the past. Their system, their gear system for the elevator is one of the best ones I've seen working. If you haven't checked out Waste It before, be sure to check them out. I posted a link back to them before. Does a lot on the mod side. Very much tied into the engineering side discussions of how things work in Space Engineers, especially on the PvP aspects. Some great content over on that side as well. And on that note, I am going to park myself right here. Actually, first we're going to have a little soup, get my food and water back up, park in the chair, and I am going to, well, maybe try to here anyway. Come on. Watch the sunset over the asteroid. Anyway, I'm going to get out of here. I hope you all have a fantastic day. Enjoy your weekend. And as always, folks, take care and be safe.